smart speaker by saying plain calls for your When it comes to industrial cooking,
here's Johnny. Thank you. Well, hello there, social media family. Being of any persons among yourselves, from subscribers to visitors alike. Is that what I meant to say? No correction to visitors, even so, who are affiliated or associated with and are representing my own particular personal YouTube social media channel, and likewise chat room or comment section. And for that last mention, so far as visitors is concerned, where I had put it like that, being that because, when I said and I stated for record visitors, even so, then because visitors to my own particular YouTube social media channel and likewise chat room and comment section could possibly be placed into the same or in a similar category with any subscribers, at least not until many more visitors to it being the same of the said in question, and likewise the aforementioned would think of it being some such of a serious minds intentions to possibly and or finally subscribe to it being of some such. Otherwise, any visitors to the same cannot know. They themselves cannot possibly be placed upon the same or similar level with, or could not possibly be placed into the same or similar category with, or could not possibly be classified all the same or similar to any subscribers. I mean, the likes of any visitors can or could possibly press the like button to that being of my social media broadcast video posts, being of any, all they want, and until the cows come home. But that doesn't or don't get me paid, Whereas if anything, any visitors would have to, likewise all the same or equally as well or that much more, think of it with my intentions to press the subscribe button so that I can or could possibly come much closer to getting my own 4,000 subscribers. That is the number that the YouTube management of administrative representative personnel has stipulated before they themselves were to make it a unanimous decision among themselves as the board of directors to this particular social media app to begin paying any mutual denarios, cash moolah, or any recognizable official monetary financial currency in any format to any of its social media account holders for producing any social media broadcast of video content material. And although I myself personally will continue to produce anything being of which is of a religious, supernatural, or spiritual nature of a format otherwise, and like say for free, provided that it being of some as such the same or the said in question aforementioned doesn't or don't conflict with my own particular personal beliefs of faith, or with the exception being that if any of some of such were to possibly become or be a conflict of interest to what I myself personally believe in. And moving right along. Anyway, though, how are you all doing? My social media family of subscribers and visitors, for that matter, who are affiliated or associated with and are representing my own particular YouTube social media channel, and likewise chatroom conversation. And for that matter, all the same, let me ask questions in due regard in reference to how are any of your loved ones being of from relatives or family members to any friends of your many different immediate personal households. Hopefully, all's well that ends well with one of many or more than quite a few of you. You know, that is being of the persons among yourselves to be possibly considered, for you and yours, and for me and mine for that matter, and moving right along. And whereas the present social media broadcast, as we have it, being as it is social media content material, and please do disregard or ignore any possible and potential disruptions or interruptions to the present social media broadcast, being as it is some such video content material. And I myself am making reference to or regarding any of the, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter wannabe neighbors from damn hell, or public nuisance problem neighbors, and not even so equally well, but especially this one in particular, being of whom be misbehaving like one is attempting to replace the last main neighbor from down hell, being of the likes of drug pushers and dope dealers, being of whom is or was being of the likes. I know you all could possibly or probably wondering why I had put it that way while expressing a line of thought in the same sense of the word in some sort of way. Well, being that because not that I'm wagging the dog will change the subject, in which I will get to the original subject matter of a topic of discussion to be debated, of a given argument with many different views and opinions to be affiliated or associated with and representing some such thereof. And as it is, regarding make a reference to this one, black preacher man of a small church in a black neighborhood who had barked at me compared to how this other black preacher man of a big church in a black neighborhood that spoke differently to me. And whereas it only goes to prove that, not all small churches, or that is not always the fact of the matter that small churches are friendlier or more friendly than big churches. But getting back to what I was trying to say before I get to the original subject matter or topic discussion to be debated of given argument with many different views and opinions to be affiliated, associated with, and representing some such thereof. Just keep coming back wherever you are. Hopefully it's not one of my neighbors from damn hell moonlighting as an internet troll character, and etc. If you know what I mean, read between lines, fill in the blanks. And I have more than enough my share of crank callers for that matter, and stalkers. But anyway, though, getting back to some such other to complete a former line of thought. And whereas this one main neighbor from damn, or who was, or is, or was, speaking correct standard English grammar American dialect or not, whereas this last main neighbor from damn hell, who is or was, whereas I put it like that, whereas imagine hearing from one person to another, how one person is saying that he himself is not any longer on the same floor level, a couple few apartment doors down from me in the same building for this less preferred neighborhood, if you know what I mean, as in one that's less prosperous and less peaceful. That is to be translated, be defined as meaning one, being of a vicinitary neighborhood community that is more impoverished or more poverty stricken and more crime ridden. Whereas this main neighbor from damn hell, who is or was of the likes of local drug pushers and or dope dealers. Whereas I put it like that, being because I'm hearing from one person to the next, was one person saying that he moved out of the unit of a place rather than an apartment upon the same floor level, a couple few apartment doors down from me in the same building and in the same neighborhood, to possibly another unit of a place rather than an apartment in the same building in the same neighborhood, or in another building in the same neighborhood or in another neighborhood. And whereas another person is saying that he believes that this same last main neighbor from down here that possibly gotten popped with a poo-poo coming from a male rival counterpart of the same sex, while he is about to bust a nut in his woman that he's laid down with, whereas the rival counterpart of a drug pusher or dope dealer of a male of the same sex is standing behind him after having made like another worse party crasher as an intruder, a home invader, and is about to bust a cap in the back of his head of his skull as he's standing up behind him while he's laid down with his woman about to bust a nut in her. Well, whatever the case or situation was, he was causing me problems in one regard or another, in more ways than one. And I'm going to try to give you all the Cliff Notes version of this so I can get to the original subject matter. A topic of discussion to be debated, of a given argument with many different views and opinions to be affiliated, associated with, and representing some such thereof, so far as the black preacher man of a small church in a black neighborhood who had barked at me like a mad dog, foaming his mouth with rabies, compared to how another black preacher man of a big church in a black neighborhood that spoke in a different way, like spoke kindly to me and even giving me the $10 of a loan that I had asked him for, compared to the other one who had misbehaved like as if I was asking him $1 million. Asking him for $1 million is what I meant to say, regardless of any possible and potential interruptions, and regardless of whether or not I'm speaking correct, proper standard English grammar of the American dialect. No. But anyway, whereas this last main neighbor from down here of a local drug pusher, and getting back to some such other, and to give y'all a Cliff Notes version, whereas he was to make my life a living down hell for the longest, like this other neighbor from down here who is misbehaving like one is attempting to replace him, and whereas he himself being a last main neighbor from down here, a local drug pusher, like say, he has stalked me into the business office of the management, whereas all I'm doing is going in there to try to, take care of the necessary business at hand, being of which is to renew my apartment rental lease agreement, to fill out and sign paperwork documents of that nature, the same as the said in question, the aforementioned, although I was having misgivings about it, being because of the last main neighbor from damn hell, and whereas he comes into the business office, behave yourself, user, with the username of Big Wiener 1086, before I put you into a timeout if you're being mischievous, although I'm trying to get you the benefit of the doubt. But anyway, getting back to what I was trying to say to complete a formal line of thought. And whereas he himself, the last neighbor from down here, being of a local drug pusher, had attempted to flip the script and make it seem like I'm the predator parasite, and he himself is the victim of prey. He's making me feel uncomfortable. And then there was a time he nearly rode his bicycle into me, not once but a few times. In a physically extreme, violent kind of way. Oh, thank you for that. Using with the username of Big Werner 1086. But let me finish this here, as in complete a formula. And whereas one of them time that he nearly rode his bicycle into me, he himself had from there told me, let me show you something, as he goes into the inner clothing of his garment, apparel, attire, or whatever I've said, regardless of what season of the year it was, be it was for a cold winter season like it is now, for that in the past or for a hot summer season. And whereas I tell them from there, well, let me pull out my cell phone and let my police friends know that you have got something for me. And then, whereas just as quick as he crept on me, rode up on me on a bicycle or bike and nearly bumped into me, knocked me over with my bags, what little grocery I had, he had rode off just quick. And then, there was a time he said the same thing to me, but this time he had his car parked alongside the building, and whereas I'm not a night owl, I never was really one, even when I was drinking and drugging. I'm in recovery now, and whereas my drug of choice was Mary Jane, as in marijuana, Snoop Doggy Frog Hogs, Wacko Weed, reefer, peyote, etc. And whereas he's parked alongside the building, he's saying, in his car, and he goes into some, wait right there, I got to show you. And whereas the only reason why I had ventured out into the streets at an ungodly hour of the night was I would only think to do so of a man's intention for emergency reasons and on purposes. And that time was to try to go see my brother at a local vicinity neighborhood community hospital for medical facility, as that being bothered, so whether or not he himself would have to do follow-up, right, at a clinic auxiliary. And here it is, this dope dealer and a drug pusher of a main neighbor from down here is threatening my life. So I kept walking toward the train station right across the street from the building, being of which represents that of a mass transit and public transportation system with all of this many different bus and train route for its premises property as a public facility. And unfortunately, I was not able to see about my brother because it's airhead, to put it mildly. I wanted to say dickhead prick, but I'm trying to refrain the usages expletive of profanity, refrain from employing the uses of expletive profanity, rather is what I meant to say. We are using correct standard English grammar of American dialect, not be I speaking correct standard English grammar of American dialect, or not is what I meant to say. I was saying at this late hour, past my bedtime hour, 11 o'clock p.m., regardless of these neighbors from damn hell, or some or such, or not just the worst, but the worstest ones yet, who make like from the midnight cowboy to the spooks that sit by the door. Anyway, though, yeah, this is about going on 2 o'clock. In answer to your question, user with the username of Big One or 1086. Yeah, for the Midwest here, the time frame period or the time of the night as it is for me elsewhere. But anyway, though, I got on elsewhere to complete a former line thought, and then I called the police upon this joker once again for the umpteenth time. Then, there's the couple few other times he's running down the sidewalk behind me. At one time or another, I'm stepping out trying to, become part of ridership for the train station right across the street from the building, for this neighborhood where I'm presently located at, until I can get back to much more familiar territory, if you know what I mean. Read between lines, fill in the blanks. Much more familiar territory, being of a vicinity area, neighborhood, community that is prosperous, and more peaceful, as in translations be defined as meaning less impoverished or less poverty stricken with all these food deserts, and less crime ridden. Whereas the only reason why I'm here now is because I had a failure of communication with the last management of administrative real estate representative personnel in one of the more preferred neighborhoods, after I had went through all the proper policies and procedures or protocol to state my grievances as in complaint about still another neighbor from damn hell, and whereas he had flipped the script upon me by managing to successfully have the management of the building for that being which is in a better neighborhood, being an administrative representative personnel to give me the walking papers that he should have received after I went through all the proper policies and procedures protocol to complain about him. Whereas any one of them or the representatives thereof for that particular real estate could have possibly been listening outside my apartment door while I'm ranting, raving about him, raising my voice, trying to tell him could he tone it down, the noise racket he was making. And from there, they could have possibly more than likely, more often than not, or probably got to thinking, this guy, he's a loose cannon. We better get him out the building. Much rather instead of how they should have put the neighbor from down hell that was terrorizing, traumatizing me upon a daily and nightly basis out of the building. And upon short notice, I'm having to move here in one of the less preferred neighborhoods. And considering one of my last alternative options, being because the other landlords, being of whom are mainly or mostly white persons who hold a monopoly on the better buildings in the better neighborhoods, were playing footsies up under the table with me as if I had all the time in the world to find another spot before I would have become the rank and file of derelict trances, as in to be defined as translated, meaning the homeless. Even the non-white landlords who have better buildings and better neighborhoods were playing footsies up under the table with me. So I'm here now after considering my last option to move in this less preferred neighborhood just to keep from becoming homeless. But anyway, getting back to the last maid from down here, then it was the time he's running behind me as I'm trying to, get on elsewhere, whereas I was at first going to try to catch a train for the local train station right across the street from the building. Then I had to take a detour as in change my mind to catch a bus route instead, because he's running down the sidewalk, or running down or uphill or whatever I said, with his hand in his inside in a clothing like he's packing a poo-poo ready to pop me. And then there was a time he did the same thing, and this time I'm coming back from a local Vicente area neighborhood community hospital, as some such give them on the time after taking care of their business at hand to see about my own general physical health. And I spotted him in the front entrance and exit way of the building. And he was on his personal cell phone, whereas he could have possibly already had some of such homies of accomplished crime already in the building with him, as well as he could have possibly been talking to one on his phone on the opposite end of the phone line. And where there, I had to take a detour, change my mind, and try to enter the building via one or two back doors. And whereas I barely made it into my apartment after unlocking it and then closing it back and locking it again, he's standing outside my apartment door, talking crazy, misbehaving like himself is practically, if not possibly, upon the verge of kicking my apartment door in an extreme, violent, physical kind of way to do me some of such severe, serious bodily harm. And whereas at the same time, I'm placing an emergency telephone call to the police upon my cell phone, although it was dying out, and at the same time, I'm recharging it. And whereas he has the habit of going in and out of one of two back doors more than the other one, that's the one next to my apartment door, although the lock mechanism is jammed and needs repairs to that particular back door to the building. And whereas he would prop something in between the door and the border to make sure he could come and go as easily as he pleases, as well as he would not have any problem with the other back door, because there's nothing wrong with its lock mechanism, whereas it is not needing any repairs. And here it is, whereas this other neighbor from down here who is misbehaving like one is replacing him. As I was saying, whereas I'm hearing two different versions about what could have possibly happened for him being the last main neighbor from down here to not any longer be on the same floor level of a couple of few apartment doors down from me in the same building in the same neighborhood. Whereas one person is saying that he believed that he moved out to another unit of a place rather than an apartment, either in this building or in another building in the same neighborhood or in another neighborhood, whereas another person is saying that he believes that he got popped with a poo-poo coming from a rival counterpart of still another drug pushing, and or dope dealer of a male character, the likes of the criminal riffraff of the same sex, as he himself is about to bust a nut in his woman that he's laid down with, whereas the rival counterpart is standing behind him after making like a even worse a party crash as in intruder home invader, and is about to bust a cap in the back of his the in the back of his head of his in the back of his head of his skull, as he himself is about to bust a nut in his woman that he lay down with. And here it is, the other neighbor from down here. An apartment above that position, above that of my own, is misbehaving, like he himself or she herself is attempting to replace him, depending on whichever one's gender is. I think that one is a female, unless I'm mistaken, unless one is a female impersonator of a man, or just as worse as that what I mean to say, no, or even worse than that, a hermaphrodite, a transvestite, or transgender with two sexual organs of the different types of a penis and a vagina, because this other neighbor from down how it looks kind of like a man, and whereas one does not appreciate how I had played the part of a good Samaritan with one in general, by delivering one's personal medications or medicine to one's apartment door at some of such given moment in time, and handed it to one after knocking on one's door. Whereas if I had not played the part of Good Samaritan, I could have left it there, and one's package could have gotten stolen. Then maybe I wouldn't be putting up with all this that I'm become subjected to experiencing come from this other neighbor from down here who is misbehaving like one is attempting to replace the last main neighbor from down here of a local drug pusher, especially when one is pumping poisonous, toxic fumes of different types of gases into my unit's atmosphere of a place of renting an apartment, and from knockout gas to gas otherwise that would keep me up all night and cause me to lose sleep and wake up late and start my day off late, and moving right along and getting back to some of such other, or to speak upon matters so far as the original subject matter or topic discussion to be debated of a given argument with the many different views and opinions to be affiliated, associated with, and or representing some such thereof. So far as the black preacher man in a black neighborhood who is supposed to be the so-called religious or spiritual leader of the same of the said question, the aforementioned, of a small black church in a black neighborhood, who had barked at me at some of such given time, compared to another black preacher man of a black church and of a big black church, bigger black church in a black neighborhood, who spoke to me quite differently, and as a matter of fact, furthermore, had given me the $10 that I had asked to borrow at some such given moment of time. Whereas you would have thought that I was asking the other black preacher man of a smaller black church in a black neighborhood for $1 million. And whereas I was like, could you loan me some of such? I'm hungry and I'm trying to get me something to eat. If not, you all have something on the premises properties here and now. And he's like, I ain't got any money. And so I tried to ask some other black males there, like being from deacons to some of such others, and like, here it is. He tells me some of such are the same, but then I would have thought that they would have left it at that. Here it is, like they're like stalking me, through the church, like I'm there to cause problems. And whether I'm picking up my book bag or school bag to put it back on my back and to get on elsewhere before I went to the other black church of a bigger one, and whereas the black preacher man or the black pastor was more kind, spoke more kindly to me, and even give me the $10 that I asked for to borrow. But then getting back to some of such other, whereas here it is, one of the deacons, like he walked past me and he's standing behind me looking all crazy and ignorant, like he's going to swing on me or something. Where before then, like after the black preacher man had turned me down, that same black deacon, like it's like the black preacher man is standing there behind the black deacon as if if as if I could cause some sort, physical bodily harm, looking all crazy at me as I'm asking the other for a loan. And that same black deacon, he like, as I'm picking up my book bag and school bag and put it back on my back, he's standing behind me like he could swing on me from behind, knock my block off. Whereas I'm like, okay, please do not disrupt the broadcast, Yes, see you later. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, yeah, I felt offended. I'm like, here it is. The church of all places is supposed to take care of the poor and needy and the homeless, not kick a man when he's down, And I think that, come to think of it, giving it some such second as well as serious thought, I think that even when I had entered that small black church, like one of the other black deacons, he looking at me all crazy, like whereas when I walked through there, and whereas I'm looking at the rack for some such read material literature of a religious nature, I thought I had sensed, like I thought I had caught out of the corner of my eye, like he had pulled something out and aimed it at me, like a poo-poo, ready to pop me with it if I get out of hand, if I get beside myself. I'm like, what? Oh no, you didn't. But I tried to shrug it off and just walk into church, and that was before all that other had happened, And as the black preacher man barked at me, like I'm a lost cause, like I'm a piece of doggy dookie on the bottom of the soles of his shoes. And whereas I've been to that church quite a time as well as to the other one I was telling you all about. Much bigger church. Now I'm expecting all that. Come from a smaller church. And from that black preacher man compared to the other one, he might well have told me then and there, excuse my language, part of my friends, though I was trying to refrain from express myself with certain or any expletives or profanity, or I was trying to from using any cuss words, regardless, But it's like this cocksucker, the black preacher of the smaller black church in the black neighborhood. It's like he is, you could feel the tension, and it was so sharp, whereas it cuts like a knife going through butter. Like you're like, why you bonehead, butthead, drunk and drug addict, shithead piece of shit, poor slob, homeless motherfucker. Nigga, if you don't get the fuck out of my damn church with all that shit, you better. I could feel like as if he was saying that, Man, you don't get the fuck out of here, you may get your motherfucking ass kicked in this motherfucking church. Here and now, right in front of all these here members and visitors. Man, if you don't get your fucking bummy ass, bummy cocksucking, faggoty or closet faggot, shithead piece of shit, nigga, some of a bitch ass out my church, you better. Whereas I would be like, for your information, sir, first of all, I'm not a drunk and I'm not a drug addict. As a matter of fact, I'm in recovery for all that and have been for quite a while. And as I'm taking my recovery one day at a time. And another thing, for your information, I'm not faggoty, and I sure as F and damn hell ain't a closet faggot cocksucker. So get your facts straight, or shut the F and damn hell up. And if any one of you MFers attempt to put your damn hands on me, then I guess we will have to be fighting in this church regardless of the outcome. Okay? But at least I got my salvation. I can't say the same for you and those other male persons, these other male persons among yourself. You damn closet devil worshiping religious vampires. And most churchgoers are just that, you know. Man, I felt offended that he turned me down, but I felt even more offended, you know, when he's standing behind a black deacon of his, of a subordinate, and looking at me all like as if I'm there to cause commotion. And then I felt likewise even more offended when that same black deacon, he's standing behind me like he's going to attempt to sucker punch me or something. Like he himself is going to knock my, or to put it mildly now, because I had destroyed my good testimony in Christ's name enough as is. Like he's about to, knock me flat out, knock me on my patootie, like give me a left and a right fist from behind. Boom, boom, while he's standing behind me. I'm like, what? And like I said, that even worse, whereas the other black deacon, even before I had went into the inner sanctuary, where I was in the inner corridor of the church before you get to the inner sanctuary, he's like reaching behind a counter, behind a counter that is behind the desk, where he has something on the countertop of the desk, like some candy and so forth. I'm looking at it in another area, some religious literature material in a reading rack, choosing among some such to maybe take some with me of the freebies of that nature. He's like made with the fast hand, like he was grabbing for a poo-poo, ready to pop me with it. Seriously though, I'm telling you like it is. I'm like, what the? Are you serious? But I shrugged it off. I guess I was thinking, well, it's the Christmas season, and somebody has to play the part of the bigger man among the two of us males of the same sex. I'm just gonna shrug it off, That's on him. If you want to act ignorant and insane coming into the new year, then that's his problem. I don't have to stoop to that level. And besides all that, I wasn't packing anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna even go there with him. I'm gonna try to do what I have to do, come here and see if I can get this 10 spot. Unfortunately, I didn't get it because the black preacher man was acting like a dickhead or prick. At least that much I can say, if not say shithead, piece of shit. Acting like a dickhead prick, like the deacons of his, So that's what I have had to share with you all, what had happened to me most recently. And to compliment the name title to this social media broadcast, the video content material. But then on this last note of interest, I like to say, if you have not gotten Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, I hope that you would think to do so now. While the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing or realizing what he himself had done and did upon the cross of Calvary on the hill of Golgotha, suffering at the hands of Roman soldiers up on the orders of their superiors, being a morphs or mainly mostly religious Pharisees and Sadducees, who had nailed him to the cross of Calvary, but then whereas he fulfilled biblical prophecy to become that perfect sacrifice, only sacrifice for you as well as for me, so that if any of us, regardless of race, walk of life, gender, age, or etc., were to profess some such faith in him, we would have the only fire insurance against the lake of fire downhill, being of his blood sacrifice for salvation. Where from there, we won't have to worry about ending up in the lake of fire downhill. We would be assembled with the rest of believers in God and angels and with God, compared to those others of the unsaved would be lost for all eternity, burning in the fires of hell and be tortured and terrorized by the devil and the demon forever. You all take care. We out.